So I'll let Adam know we're all set. Okay, I think we're good to go.
Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome to a historic first ever virtual meeting of the Allen Park Board of Education. These are certainly unprecedented times, and I want to thank all Allen Park staff for their hard work and service in meeting the challenges that have arisen during the time of crisis. Special appreciation to our teaching staff and administration for their remarkable efforts to continue the delivery of education to our students during these extraordinary times. Parents, we understand the stress these changes in education have put on your lives. We want to express our gratitude for your cooperation with district personnel in assisting your child with online instruction, picking up assignments, ensuring completion, and supporting your child's efforts to keep up as best they can. The human spirit is unbelievable. No matter what comes our way, we will remain united as a school community to do everything in our ability to ensure a sense of normalcy as we continue to take care of ourselves and each other. This evening, citizens who wish to express public comments may do so by identifying themselves in the comment area of this evening's YouTube virtual meeting and entering their comments to be read at the appropriate time on the agenda, item number 12. Comments may pertain to an agenda item or other general comments at that time. A virtual board meeting is new for us and for you. Board members ran a test of the system in advance of the meeting. However, please note that no business took place. It was merely a test for this meeting. And with that, I would ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the
republic
for which
for which it stands,
One
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Dowski, roll call, please.
Mrs. Filipiak,
I am present.
Mr. Klein,
I'm here.
Mrs. McDonald,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Moynihan,
Here.
Mr. Shearer,
Here.
and Dr. Warren.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll seek approval of the consent agenda items this evening, which includes approval of the May 11th agenda, approval of March 9 work session minutes and March 9 regular meeting minutes, approval of registers for March 5th, March 10th, March 11th, March 12th, March 17th, March 20th, March 26th, April 2nd, April 23rd, and May 7th, and approval of wire transfers from March 5th through April 13th and April 14th through May 6th.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dowski, it sounds like we have a move in a second. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay. We'll go around the horn and any questions or comment. Mrs. Flipiak,
None.
Mr. Shearer,
No.
Mr. Klein,
No comments.
Dr. Warren,
No.
Mr. Moynihan.
All good.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving forward, President's communications.
Just flipped around.
I have no communications at this time. Reading of communications. Mrs. Flipiak, any communications?
I have no communications.
Right there.
Thank you. We'll move on to personnel resignations, retirements. Mr. Darga.
Resignation retirements, we have received and accepted the following resignations. Christopher Marino, boys and girls varsity head swim coach, Effective 4/27, McKenna Marino, Boys and Girls Varsity Assistant Swim Coach, Allen Park High School, effective 4/27. Kenneth May, Assistant Hockey Coach, Allen Park High School, effective 12/18. Christopher Meeks, Custodian, Arnold Benny, effective March 13th. Maya Stewart, Independence Parapro, Benny, effective March the 12th.
Thank you, Mr. Darga. On to item 8 in the agenda, curriculum department update by Dr. Tefelsky.
I have no idea.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's meeting. Just a short update to talk about our continuity of learning plan that we filed with Wayne County RESA, and that was approved by them and subsequently approved by the Michigan Department of Education. It details, and it's posted to our website in a couple of sections actually, the process by which we are instructing our students remotely. It was a collaborative effort with ICC, administration, the union, and I'm really proud of the work that we all did. And I know Mr. Darga is as well. We've talked a lot about that. It was our goal to make sure that we were keeping in mind the well-being of our students, teachers, and community while we were working through the process. The big thing that we focused on was really making sure that our students felt connected and had some grounding activities so that they were able to check in with their teachers and people that they were familiar with in these times. We also wanted to make sure that we were not interfering with food pickup and food delivery and things like that. So we've been talking with Karen Gobus a lot to make sure that that process is going well. There was a time when we thought maybe some classes were conflicting with food pickup, so we kind of scheduled around those. And now we're looking to the remainder of this year and you know, starting some planning and preparation for all the possibilities that are unfolding before us. If anybody has any questions about the continuity of learning plan, I'm happy to answer them. But I know the board has had a chance to review it as well prior to its submission. So if there's anything you need from me, I'm here to answer questions.
Hey,
Right,
John,
thanks,
this is Pat.
thanks,
You know what?
Chad.
Oh. Go ahead, Gordon.
I was just going to go around one at a time and make sure everybody has a chance to raise any questions or concerns they may have. Let's start with Ms. McDonald.
How's it going with the parents? What kind of feedback are you getting?
We've had pretty good feedback. One of the I think we knew would happen was the differentiation in teacher knowledge of Google Classroom and of online learning. And so some teachers are really apt at it and are able to post videos and post content and that can kind of follow up with their students. And then other teachers are able to do more limited things, but have live conversation with their kids. That's minimum for everybody. And we wanted to make sure that that was a minimum for everybody. Teachers at least being able to see their students' faces and vice versa. So that has been positive. And it's just working through the issues. I think moving forward, we want to get more consistent with everything that we're doing, no matter how we're learning moving forward, whether it's, virtual or hybrid or even full in person. I think that there's so much value in Google Classroom that the ability for a teacher to say, okay, you've completed this, now go pull this down off of Google Classroom, submit it to me. And then the teacher's able to check and give feedback via Google Classroom, I think saves a lot of time and effort and really is how kids are learning in college. I mean, I am not too far out of college, and we had a system called D2L at Michigan State. And even when I taught there last year, we used the platform. And so I think that getting kids used to it now, granted at the elementary school, they have a long time to go before they have to get there, but getting kids used to an online platform where they're living in the technological world, I think is a positive for everybody.
What kind of participation? Are the teachers letting you know that? What they're getting into?
Yeah, principals have said that the participation is pretty good. It's, we're having some inconsistencies with handing in work and things like that, but we knew that was going to be a thing. Getting a hold and making sure that we're connecting with all of our kids was really the important part. So as a district, we enabled Google Voice, which is an online phone service through our Gmail. So teachers can reach out to students and they don't have to worry about giving out personal numbers or, feeling uncomfortable or whatever the case may be. And the technology department has done a great job. We handed out over 800 devices or close to 800 devices and 8 hotspots for families to connect to the internet. So we've done everything that we can to get participation up. And I think it will only continue to grow as we're identifying more families who need it. One of the biggest things that we found actually was that families who have multiple kids have devices, but with 2 parents at home working, with 3 kids at home, everybody needs to get on. They didn't have 5 devices. They had 3 devices or 4 devices or 2 devices. And so that's where a line share of the 800 devices went, was to families, not that didn't have technology at all, but families that lacked enough technology. And so we're in a spot now where we're looking at purchasing more devices to make sure that we can meet the needs of our kids and kind of how we're going to do that. So those conversations are ongoing. The federal government created some more flexibility in title and how we can spend title money. So that's going to be one of the kind of the next things that we're looking at. Now that we finally realized we finally got information on the CARES Act and how we can spend that and all of that stuff. So that'll be kind of the next thing that we're looking at is how to spend some of the title dollars that we have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McDonald. Mr. Moynihan.
No questions from this end.
Thank you. Dr. Warren.
Are the teachers being supported as well? I know most of them have technology. I know that, but just like you said, Mr. Telfelski, I should say Dr. Telfelski now. So, but just like you were saying, I have 3 kids, working from home. So I know some teachers are having, I know teachers that have a lot of kids too. Are they being supported too, making sure they're getting the internet they need and the devices they need as well?
So, devices should not be a problem for staff members. Internet, we're asking them really to work with their internet service providers, most of whom have been opening up the data plans for people because we have such a limited supply of hotspots. So we want to make sure that our students who need connectivity have the ability to get connected to the internet. So we're really asking our teachers who we're hoping have the ability to contact their internet service provider and say, hey, I'm a teacher and we need more bandwidth, or we need, faster speeds or whatever. And then, I know Adam has certainly worked with a couple of our staff members to try and troubleshoot some of those things.
Awesome. Yeah, I have 3 kids too, trying to all get them on Zoom meetings at the same time. That's a fun one. But we make it work.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Klein.
Yeah, no, just a chance to say thank you to all the people who are, putting all these moving parts together. I know that it is a constantly evolving and changing landscape, and we're all trying to get used to that. Through the work I've been doing with Macomb, I think when we originally went into this experiment, we thought it would be virtual learning, right? We would deliver learning to kids at home. What we're finding really is it's learning from home with teacher support, and so the partnership with parents, has become more evident than ever, right? Because the parents are taking a lot of that role now and we're trying to do that partnership in a way that's different. So thank you to those people that are doing the good work and to keep it up. I know it's it's a long ways yet to June 15th, but we're getting there and looking forward to, I'm sure, a little downtime in summer to regroup and figure it all out. And then we'll see where we go next year, right? So thank you, folks.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Mr. Shearer.
Yeah, actually, I got quite a few. As a reference point, my daughter Lucy's home from William and Mary, and they are fully online. So she's, she completed all her classes. She's having her finals this week. So it was just interesting to see how they handled it. Do you have any kids that have not contacted the teachers at all? Any kids that are MIA?
So we have some students who we've been contacting very frequently to try and touch base with them, make sure that everything's okay. We have other parents who have kind of said, you said it's online and we don't have the time or the wherewithal to get this accomplished, and so we're not going to. And we haven't just said that we're letting those students go or we're not going to follow up with them. It's been something where we've wanted to make sure that we're letting them know that we're there to support them in any way that we can, while making sure to respect the decisions that they're making. And then for the other ones, it's troubleshooting. What do you need? You need access? Do you need devices? And how can we make this happen? We had a handful that reached out. Mrs. Metrick, in the first week, I'm a firefighter. My wife is a nurse. I have 2 kids at home. We don't have grandparent support. We're just, we're trying to make ends meet. We're just struggling to kind of get this to a place where we know which way's up. And so we're working with families as much as we can, to the extent that we can, without trying to be overbearing or really, come off as insensitive to the situation that's happening in our household.
Do you have any kids that are literally, there has been no contact with, that have gone off the radar in the district? I think if we do, I think we need to. I'm just asking for a.
Yeah, I mean, Mike, I haven't heard. We've checked up, and I haven't heard principals say that there's literally no contact with them. We've.
In all honesty, Pat, we've done it. Kudos to the staff, social workers, and counselors. When teachers are taking attendance, when we're coming across students and families that have not been showing up to the classes or reaching out via email or in our Zooms, our counseling department, social workers, and even principals are making contact with those families.
Awesome.
We've also got several families, of course. Even Karen Lobis from food service. Karen is hand delivering meals to those families that cannot. He's doing a check-in at that time with them. Some of them do not have internet. And as John has mentioned, we've given out hotspots. Sometimes the hotspot's not even good enough. It's just something the family's not able to work with. We've handed out some hotspots, as John said, even to our staff. We had one of our own staff members was unable, even after several different attempts with her service provider, they could not get it fixed. So Adam, with that staff member, gave them a hotspot just to assist, because not only is she a teacher, but she's a mom, and her kids were not able to even get onto Zoom. So we've really been doing an outstanding job across the board, and it's all been led by our staff members. It's just incredible.
I just don't know. What is a hotspot? You literally give them a device that gives them access to the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's an internet portal, essentially.
Okay, so do we know the kids that, what I'm getting at is getting ready for the fall. I don't think we're at the point, it doesn't feel like, where we could actually do online learning 100%. We don't, who doesn't have Wi-Fi, teacher training.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty close. I think we're definitely closer than we were. But yeah, I mean, we have an idea of who needs what assistance and where. So if this became something that we had to shift to full time, I'm fairly confident that by next fall we'd be able to make sure that everybody has what they need, from teachers to students.
Okay.
Some of the other stuff, time, how parents are going to accomplish some of these things, like, sure, I understand that, but from a school district standpoint, I think we're a lot closer. We're certainly closer than we were, but I think we're a lot closer than people may realize to being able to deliver in an online environment.
Awesome. Thank you. And the last one, do teachers get reimbursed if they have to upgrade their internet to teach online?
No, we've not done that. The staff members have been, if there's anything or it's not come to our attention. I do believe some of our teachers, though, have expenses out of pocket, but that's not been a thing that has been openly discussed or, with my office at all. But at the time, there was no, that the teachers were setting it up as part of the expectation.
It'd just be a nice thing, come fall, if we're all in on this and they got to upgrade internet speed, we should pay for it somehow.
Well, we're also hoping that, obviously, with the conditions happening, we're hoping to get more direction to the state and the government, in the governor's office.
I mean, I just think we should, when the smoke clears and this is over, we should be capable of having fully online education, because when this happens again, we got to be ready.
Agreed.
I mean, everybody's doing great.
Right. No, and really, it's making great strides. We're working behind the scenes, obviously. John and I are working with Joel Berkey, APA president. Joel is in constant contact with his team as well as the staff. We're looking to actually start a process, with some professional development. And we're looking at that right now because, just as you said, Pat, this happened pretty quickly, and I think we've adapted very well, probably better than most, but we still have a long way to go. And the nice thing is we're moving together as a team, staff and administration, along with our parents. And as it was stated earlier by Gordon, kudos to our parents. And Mike Klein stated, basically our parents are the front line right now, and we're assisting and providing the tools and support. As a district, that's got to become our main goal. And now that this happened, we do believe something may happen in the future. I also believe that even a simple snow day may look different. I don't think students will have the day off. I think we'll be logging Zooms and doing Zoom meetings. I think parents will be looking different. And I do believe that down the road, Pat, I agree that the districts in the state are going to have to start working with service providers. I see a big change coming in that arena also, to be able to make sure all of our parents can connect if that's what they wish to do, as well as our teachers. It's a burden. Teachers should not have to spend an extra $100 a month for a better, quicker internet service because they're hosting 5, 6, 7 Zooms a day at 30 students a Zoom. So we're learning a lot, and it's something definitely, on our radar.
Sure. And I'm not trying to be critical. I think it's been incredible what everybody's done. I'm just saying this is going to be the new normal. We got to just embrace it and be ready.
Yeah.
All set, Mr. Chair?
Yep.
All right, Mrs. Flipiak.
I do have a couple questions. My first question is, do we have a plan for community input or student input on how we're doing with our program so far? It doesn't have to be like in the works now, but if we are to move to this type of platform for the fall, or even if we move to a hybrid system, do we have a plan in place to solicit like the perception or things we could be doing better, things like that from our parents and our students?
That's going to be coming through, and what we'll probably be utilizing is really going back to more of a strategic plan. I think we're going to have to readapt our 5-year strategic plan, and we had 30 plus families and residents on that team as well. I can see us, even this summer, as we learn more about how the school year will start in the fall. There's several different options, as out there of how it may look. If it looks like there may be an online component, I can see us reestablishing these committees, renaming the committee, and then going forward as a united team with all voices.
Okay. My other question is, how is the grading system being received by parents, students, teachers?
Go ahead, Mike.
No, I think can you hear me?
Yeah. There you go.
I was froze. Again, we're working with, coming off it's been a little bit difficult, as administrator yourself, it's been difficult, not only for our families, but also for our teachers when the executive order kind of gives us some guidelines of, how to move forward. Different districts are tackling that in different ways, and I think what we've done is, the right thing. I think we're putting people before grades. I think what we're doing is making sure that everybody's, we're doing our wellness checks. We're making sure we check in. We've got our teachers are working very hard. They're meeting with their students. They're giving content and curriculum. And we're not necessarily focused on the AB grade. We've given options to those students who have an opportunity at the time in March, let's say they were at a B or a C and they would like to raise it. They are working independently with those teachers to raise that grade. We've reached out to any student, especially at the secondary level, who may be failing a class, allowing them that opportunity to raise that grade. So I think we've got all of our bases covered. I think what we're doing, I think our teachers as well as our parents, I think they appreciate it. Some of our parents, we get quite a few emails that there's so much going on, and it got to give them permission almost to unplug now and then. And then we also have another set of parents that are, hey, listen, my students, wants more. What can they do more? Mm-hmm. And so it's been a very big balance. And I think our teaching staff, kudos to them, because again, I know people think they're hosting a simple Zoom or they're doing this. but they have no idea behind the scenes the amount of work that has
Yeah.
gone into accommodating 30 students in a classroom when half want more and the other half just need a simple wellness check. I mean, beyond the Zoom, teachers are making phone calls, they're, the emails, and they're making contact with our parents because those parents are saying, hey, listen, what else can they do? So again, I'm very, very proud of the teaching staff. And again, the way they reach out beyond the simple Zoom, they're even having, several teachers have had, family, Zoomed in just with the mom and the student just to check in and things of that nature.
Mhm. That's awesome. I thought the plan was beautifully done and great job to the team.
Thank you. I think that a lot of work went in on the front end with teachers to make sure that it was palatable. Because one of the things that we wanted, that kind of came out of the executive order was do no academic harm. And so I think that the way we ended up with it, where it's AB credit incomplete, and the kid actually has until next year to do some work to make it up. I don't know how many students will take advantage of it, but I think that when we heard from families and we know in Allen Park, a lot of our parents are police, firefighters, nurses, teachers. I think that it's important to take that into consideration, where if a kid, is a few weeks into the new semester, is struggling, they should have that opportunity to make it up. And if it's not feasible now, we don't want to punish them. And so I think that we did. I think that the plan was, well thought out, and the feedback solicited. And I think moving forward, we will be getting more feedback from parents and students. And that's kind of how we changed the schedule too, because of what we heard from students and parents. Like, I have, all these Zooms going on all at once, and I need a little bit of help, or I don't have any structure whatsoever. Can you help me out? And so that's why we came up with that schedule, to really make sure that parents and students felt that their voice was heard.
I would like to just dovetail on what Mr. Klein said. Just really very thankful for the really huge effort that everyone in the district has put in, from administrators to support staff, to food services. I don't want to miss anybody, but everybody's really just been, pulling in the same direction during a difficult time. And it shows, it's the type of district we have. I can tell, my daughter is a junior in high school, and she's been very active with her teachers and Zoom meetings and work, and she's just working nonstop. But, we have the kind of staff that's going above and beyond. So they're doing things that are not necessarily part of the continuity of learning plan, but they're reaching out for elections for NHS meetings and for next year, and for student council for next year. The kind of things that make our teachers special and great here in this district. So I want to thank everybody for the just big tasks that they put in, and trying to make really, lemonade out of lemons here. So thank you to everybody for that. And thanks, Dr. Tefelsky, for your presentation this evening.
Thanks. And just Mr. Miller, before you guys let me go here, I just wanted to remind everybody, I'm monitoring the public comments. If anybody has a public comment, it's on the board meeting page. They can submit a form on the board meeting page of the Allen Park Public Schools website, or go to tinyurl.com/APPSBOE, and that'll take you to the public comments section. So you can submit a form, and I'll make sure that I read those at the end. But again, it's tinyurl.com/APPSBOE, like Allen Park Public Schools /BOE.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Tefelsky. We'll see you back for item 12. Okay, moving on in the agenda. Item 9, old business. There is no old business at this time, but new business. Number 1, Wayne County RESA General Fund Operating Budget for 2020-2021. Mr. Darga.
All right. Michigan law requires each constituent school board of Wayne County to participate in Wayne RESA's budget development process. Each local school board must review the proposed budget, adopt a board resolution expressing its support for or disapproval of the proposed budget. Board members receive the 2021 Wayne RESA preliminary budget, the facts of budget related questions, as well as a resolution for review via email. Wayne RESA is in a position, just like Allen Park Public Schools and other districts, in which we are unsure what next year's budget will land. However, the state has not changed the requirements that Wayne RESA must have their proposed budget to boards to review by May 1, and the board vote on the Wayne RESA budget by May 31st. The Wayne RESA budget has been built as a basic rollover from last year. It includes the same level of staffing and revenues for now. As soon as Wayne Risa has a clearer picture from the state on revenues, they will immediately amend the budget and reflect any changes. Of note, several important areas of the Wayne Risa budget are based on property taxes, such as Act 18 budget, the enhancement millage budget, general fund budget, and property values are already set for next year. The suggested motion that the Wayne Risa general fund operating budget for the 2020-2021 school year be supported and that the attached resolution be approved as presented.
So moved.
Is there support?
I'll
Support.
second.
Okay, did you get that, Mr. Radowski?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. It's been moved and supported. Let's go around for any questions or comment. We'll start with Mrs. Flipiak.
None for me.
Mr. Shearer,
None.
Mr. Klein,
No comments.
Dr. Warren,
None.
Mr. Moynihan,
No comments.
and Mrs. McDonald.
No comment?
Been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, Wayne County Regional Enhancement Millage Renewal Discussion. Mr. Darga.
Thank you. The current 6-year 2016 through 2022 expires the fiscal year of 2022, which is why Wayne Risa is working to get a renewal proposal on the November 2020 ballot. Since the millage will have expired by the time we reach the November 2022 election date, from 2011 through 2015, school operating funds for districts in Wayne County dropped by $485 million. The proposal is a renewal of continuation to levy a regional enhancement millage for 2 mills for a period of 6 years, 2022 through 2027. That would be about $2 per $1,000 of taxable value. It's estimated that 2 mills would raise approximately $84 million when first levied in 2022. The revenue from this millage would be dispersed to public school academies within the boundaries of Wayne Risa, which are eligible to receive the funds in addition to the Wayne County Public School districts. The academies are a new element to this renewal proposal. The money is collected by Wayne Risa and distributed equally to all constituent districts, eligible academies, charters, on a per student basis, approximately $350 per student. Districts have a local control over how the money is spent. With that said, Allen Park is still considered a receiver district in that we will receive more funds than the 2 mills generate. 2 mills generates about $929,695, and the enhancement distribution to the Allen Park schools based on student enrollment would be $1,194,366. This dollar amount takes into account the funds distributed, eligible charters, and academies. If the renewal is placed on the ballot in November and does not pass, Allen Park Public Schools would lose $360 per student. In order to be placed on the November 2020 ballot, boards representing more than 50% of the pupil membership must adopt resolutions requesting the Wayne Risa board to call for an election on the enhancement proposal. The information sent to board members via email and shared today is for consideration and will present the board with a resolution in June for a vote.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Darga. Let's go around the table on that one. Let's start with Mr. Klein.
Yeah, I don't know that I have any particular questions. Obviously, the timing's going to be tough. I think the state's going to be in a tough position, and it may be a heavy lift to try to generate that. You know, clearly that money's been really well used and critical to Allen Park. So I know that I'm sure that's true around the region that schools are going to need those funds. But yeah, I don't really have any questions other than the timing is not a lot of stuff to start with.
Okay, Mr. Shearer. Mr. Shearer.
Yeah, more money's better. I did notice my assessed value went up this year. But anyway, yeah, no comment.
Mrs. Flipiak.
I have no comment.
Mrs. McDonald.
I agree with Mr. Klein. It's tough times and it's, you know, I guess we would be well advised not to overly count on this until we have it in hand and proceed accordingly. So that's my take on it.
Point well made. I agree with you. Mr. Moynihan.
Yeah, it's always nice to have more money, but I don't think that when we see the budget from Tiffany, that's going to be added into the budget anyway. I don't think that really affects the way she budgets. It's nice to have the money, and hopefully we can pass it on the ballot, but it's usually not. It's usually earmarked for some special events, which we will have to, like Mr. Dogger said, have to change our strategic plan.
Mhm.
That's it.
Dr. Warren.
Yeah, I just agree that the timing, but I saw what Tiffany had, like Rick, and same thing. It'd be nice to have it, but that time, it's gonna be tough.
Okay. I have no comment at this time. I think I would be redundant over what everybody else has said at this point. So we'll move forward in the agenda to 9B3, District Auditing Services. Mr. Darga.
Thank you. The district has been utilizing the auditing services of Plant Moran for quite some time. Ms. Tiffany Keith publicized a request for proposals for auditing services on February the 6th of 2020 in an effort to be fiscally responsible as well as to compare services available. Deadline for the proposals was Friday, March the 6th at 11 a.m. An evaluation committee, including board representative Mr. Pat Shearer, met the afternoon of March 6th to review and evaluate the 6 submissions. Board members have received a copy of the rubric created and utilized by committee members. A virtual follow-up meeting was held with the final firms at the end of this time. The Auditing Services Evaluation Committee is recommending agreement for district auditing services for the next 3 fiscal years. I'd like to take and extend my appreciation to Mr. Pat Shearer for serving on this committee and creating an incredible decision matrix. And kudos to Ms. Tiffany Keith for taking the initiative to launch a clear, concise RFP for auditing services to provide the district with exemplary support and services, while also providing due diligence and cost efficiency. The suggested motion that the Allen Park Board of Education approve the utilization of Weeman as the district auditing services for the 2019-2020, 2020-21, and the 21-22 fiscal years.
So
So
moved.
moved. Support.
Okay, looks like Ms. McDonald moved and Mr. Moynihan support. Let's go around for any questions or comments. Let's start with Dr. Warren.
None at this time.
Mr. Moynihan.
Nope, just thanks for all the effort put in to find something that's going to work for us.
Mrs. McDonald.
I agree. Thanks for taking the time to research this and make the bold step, I guess, of moving away from what we've had in the past. And, it'd be nice to see the comparison once we get the numbers in. So thank you, Mr. Shearer, for the time spent and everybody for the time spent on that.
Mrs. Flipiak.
Ditto what everyone said. I think great job. And other than that, no comment.
Mr. Shearer.
You're being way too kind to me. Tiffany did all the work. The RFP was outstanding. So the quotes that came back were really easy to compare side by side. And this Riemann feels like a mini Plant Moran, back when they were hungry. And I think it's going to be a good thing. So kudos to Tiffany. That's a lot of money to save. I think we'll get better service, or a little more personal service.
Okay,
That's
thank
it.
you, Mr. Shearer. Mr. Klein.
Just thank you. And I've seen Mr. Shearer's decision matrix, so I know there's plenty of data they had to work with. So thank you, guys. No comments.
All right, thanks. Yes, thanks, Mr. Shearer, for your time and effort. Yes, the decision-making matrix has become a thing of legend already. So thank you for your efforts. And
Infamy.
it's been moved and supported. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 9B4, school security, additional door scan readers. Mr. Darga.
Thank you. We have received a proposal from Technology Department for additional door scan readers as principals have identified target areas that require attention during emergencies. The access by using a staff member's ID security badge will allow students and staff to enter back into the building while outside during recess, gym class, as well as re-entry during an emergency or following an emergency drill. Arno, Lindeman, and Elkhart High School have identified a door that needs an additional card reader, as well as 2 doors at Benny and 3 doors at the middle school. The recommended vendor for this project is High-Tech. This is the company that has taken care of our projects, such as the security cameras and existing badge system. The total cost of the security-related project is $19,978.30, which includes the installation. The cost to be paid from the Enhancement Millage funds. Suggested motion that the Allen Park Board of Education approve the purchase and installation of 8 additional door scan readers from High-Tech in the amount of $19,978.30.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, we have Mrs. McDonald move and Mr. Moynihan support. And let's go around the horn here. We'll start with Mr. Shearer.
No comment.
Mrs. Flipiak.
No comment.
Mrs. McDonald.
No comment.
Mr. Moynihan.
I do have a question. It somewhat pertains to this. When an employee leaves the service of Allen Park Schools, what's the process of collecting their reader card or disengaging it?
I'm sorry, Rick, did you say when someone leaves the district?
Right, when someone leaves the district.
Yeah. So right now, when someone it leaves the district for whatever reason, all their cards and everything are turned back in. But more importantly, Adam has the ability for right from his office or even from a remote area, he's able to disengage in that card so it's no longer usable. He's able to basically clear it off.
Okay.
Okay, Dr. Warren.
No comment.
Mr. Klein.
Yeah, just a simple question. I think I know what you're talking about here. At Benny, I know going out to the playground, to the place where they have recess, that door is not coded. So this would like add a pad there so they could use their regular scanner to come right back in from recess?
That's correct.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I think we've hit everybody. It's been moved and supported. We've talked about it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item 9B5, school security, PA systems for Allen Park High School and Allen Park Middle School. Mr. Darga.
Thank you. We have also received a proposal from the Technology Department for a new PA system for Allen Park High School and Allen Park Middle School. The Technology Department notes that they had replaced the PA system at Allen Park Middle School this last year, and the vendor was not prepared to do the work at the scope requested. Additionally, Allen Park High School has had a power outage this year in which the speakers did not work in half the building. Luckily, a second power outage at Allen Park High School brought the PA functioning back once again. This aging equipment was purchased with the 2003 bond, and parts are no longer available. The PA system is critical to school buildings in the event of an emergency. 3 quotes were obtained for this project, and the Technology Department is again recommending High-Tech as the vendor of choice. Proposals and quotes have been provided to the board in advance to this meeting. The total price for equipment and installation by High-Tech is $74,929 to be paid from Enhancement Millage Fund. Approval at this time will allow for this project to be completed in time for all fall classes. Mr. Mahalik is available if there are questions. And the suggested motion is that the Allen Park Board of Education approve the purchase and installation of a new PA system for Allen Park High School and Allen Park Middle School from High-Tech in the amount of $74,929, which includes equipment and installation. And before we go forward, I would like to state, obviously, as you all know, the importance of a PA system at both the middle school and high school, and those have not been functioning. We've done our best to work with the vendors that did come out, and as Adam stated, the company that did take the job were unable to complete it. We ran into all kinds of problems, and so therefore we were making a complete replacement.
Okay. So there's a suggestion motion. Is there a move and support?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, Mr. Moynihan move. Mrs. Flipiak support. And let's go around on it. Mrs. Flipiak, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I know all PA systems are not created equal. Is this like a two-way system, or can you describe it just a little bit? And I guess what I'm more curious about is the emergency functions of it. Like, is there an emergency call button, like that kind of thing?
So I believe until Adam is able to join us, and I'm not sure if he's able to or not. I know he was not monitoring the YouTube channel, but each of the phone systems are the updated systems that basically you can call an emergency from any classroom or any phone in the building. There will be a code. Anybody with the code would be able to type that in and call for an emergency. They would also be able. Oh, here's Adam. So Adam can help us out with that.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. It will be an online system, so that way everybody in the office will have access to everything that they need, changing the tones, changing the bells, and even programming for half days and things like that. Yes. They even have a cell phone app that they can use to control it.
Very cool. Sounds awesome.
Okay, Mr. Shearer?
No, it sounds fantastic. It seems like a really great price. That's it.
Mr. Klein?
No comments.
Dr. Warren?
I see that the middle school, we had it. Well, did we already pay for it? And did they just not do the job? Did we get that money back? Just curious.
We have not paid for their services, so we're going to remove that and have them return it.
Perfect. I just want to make sure we were double paying.
They're not.
Sounds good then.
Mr. Moynihan?
Just one question. What is the life of a PA system?
The average lifespan is about 8 to 10 years.
Oh, pretty short.
Yeah.
A lot of money for 8 to 10 years.
I think a lot of that, in all honesty, just like everything else, is because it's so technology based and online based. As systems and technology can continue to improve, I think that's probably part of the reason.
I am curious if there are other things we can fix in the building by just having power outages.
Keep turning the power on and off.
Anything else, Mr. Moynihan?
No.
Okay, Mrs. McDonald?
Thanks for all your work on this. I think it's a critical element of student, staff, building safety. So needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. McDonald. It's expensive, yes, but got to be done. That's one of our core functions, keep them safe. And so we've got to do that. So we've been around the horn on it. Let's, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 9B6, renewal of administrative contracts. Mr. Darga.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend the approval of administrative support contract to June 30th of 2022. Current contract expires June 30th of 2021. I am pleased to report that I have been conducted evaluation of building principals and central office administration. That these outstanding individuals providing leadership and building at district level. Please note that the renewing of the administrative contracts at this time extends the individuals listed through June 2022. Renewal does not guarantee a salary step or increase. Administrative salaries for the 2021 will follow those of other bargaining units, dependent ultimately on state funding, and the district's budget based on scenario A or B. The suggested motion that the following administrative employment agreements be extended to June 30th of 2022 for the following individuals. Andrew Drew, Middle School Assistant Principal, Athletic Director. Bullish Ashley, Operations Assistant. Matiniak John, Systems Administrator. Davis Ron, Auditorium Manager. Dawson Michael, High School Assistant Principal, Athletic Director. Donahue Patrick, Middle School Principal. Grant Elise, Administrative Assistant for Human Resources. Gobus Karen, Director of Food Service. Heath Tiffany's Director of Finance. Kelly John, High School Principal. Laura Sean, Director of Community School and Services. Lee Elizabeth, Community Service Coordinator. Lot Kathy, Lindeman Principal. Metzger, Sarah, Benny Principal. Mahalik Adam, Director of Technology. Moran Karen, High School Assistant Principal. Payne Joni, Payroll and Benefits Coordinator. Rogers Karen, Accounting Supervisor. Sokol Matthew, Director of Special Education. Falsky John, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction. Ward Patrick, Director of Operations. Jadrowski Bart, Administrative Assistant, and Zielinski Steve, Arnold Principal.
Okay, that's a suggested motion. Do we have a move and support?
Motion.
Support.
Okay, we've got, it looks to me like it was Dr. Warren on the motion and Mrs. Flipiak on the support. Let's go around for discussion purposes. Mrs. McDonald?
Okay, I have some concern about the timing on this. I've been doing a fair amount of reading, Washington Post, American Federation of Teachers, etc. And the prediction is that there's going to be huge layoffs within the teacher ranks going forward. Nobody knows what going forward is going to look like at this point. And I'm wondering about the timeliness of this. I don't know that we don't know what's going to happen down the road. And, you know, I just think this might be premature at this time.
All set?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Moynihan?
I have no question.
Dr. Warren?
One of my biggest questions, Mr. Darga, you answered during your talk there, and that was, you know, we don't know the finance. You know, myself, Rick, and Tiffany did the finance meeting. You know, so that's a huge concern for me, right? Like, what about that? What if we're not getting enough money per pupil? And we did just state in there that agreeing to this is just agreeing pretty much for them to be working, correct? Like, it's not agreeing to their pay. God forbid we don't get any money.
That's correct. Yeah.
Or
So
$1,000 for people.
you know, as a friendly reminder, you know, so the admin contracts follow the basically our bargaining, you know, contracts, our union contracts. If we were to have a shortfall going into this next year, and again, you know, you'll see Tiffany's presentation. We're going to work with some scenarios, just like in the past. If we get into a sticky situation where money and we have to, you know, cut back, it affects all employee groups, including administrators, including the superintendent, including teachers, bus drivers, everybody. We treat each group the same. So if there are cuts,
Thank you for explaining.
Okay. Mr. Klein?
No comments at this time.
Mr. Shearer?
Just the usual concerns about that Tefelsky guy. But other than that,
Wait a second,
No.
what?
nothing, John. No, you're okay. No,
Okay.
I've been, I had a good sit down with Mr. Darga, and you know, it's funny because I think like a parent, and I'm trying to learn to think like a school board member, and you guys really helped me out and explaining what all these guys are doing and the things I don't see that are happening. And it was a real eye opener. So I appreciate taking the time to sit me down. And I'm encourage these guys to blow their own horn as every opportunity.
we have a great team.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Shearer. Mrs. Flipiak?
I have no comment.
Okay. We've gone around for discussion. It's been moved and supported. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Sounded to me like motion carried 6-1. Is that accurately reflected by everybody? Moving on to item 10, presentation of financial information for the 2020-2021 proposed budget. Mrs. Tiffany Keith.
Thank you. Keith is here this evening to provide information regarding the 2021 proposed budget. Following the presentation, board members will have an opportunity to ask questions or provide feedback. A public hearing for the proposed budget will be held on June the 8th, and the 2021 budget will be adopted at the June 22nd board meeting. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to Tiffany.
Thank you, Mr. Darger. I hope everybody can hear me. I'm going to share my screen so I can walk through the presentation with everybody. Give me 1 second. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So this is the proposed budget for general fund 2020-21 fiscal year. In this first slide, I'm sorry, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, the first slide is estimated revenue. Revenue is unknown at this time, so the assumptions for revenue are listed below. Funding is based on 3,800 for student count. That's typically been our trend for proposed budgets, which is about 40 kids down from where we are right now. State funding, I did scenarios you'll see on the budget summary of a flat increase and a deficit of 200 per pupil and also a deficit of 650 per pupil. And those numbers actually came from Michigan school business officials. We got a listserv email that was given to us as recommendations for presenting the proposed budget for the 2021 year, since we don't know information yet on what funding looks like. So I wanted to be transparent and show these scenarios. Categorical lines are consistent with what they are right now. Again, we don't know what state funding is going to look like for next year. Same with our grants, our title and IDEA grants. Those preliminary amounts for the 2021 year are not in MEGS yet. So the funding is consistent with 1920. Everybody knows we passed the non-homestead local millage, so that 18 mills is put back in. The only information I don't have at this moment is the 2020 taxable value from Wayne County. So I just dropped in what we would have collected for 2019. So expenditures are a little bit easier because we kind of have an idea of what our expenses are going to look like next year. You see it says scenario A because I did two different scenarios. The only difference between the two scenarios is scenario A includes all step and increases for our employees. And then that's the only difference between the two scenarios. So scenario A includes all increases. I do have the 4 teacher replacements for our retirees at MA Step 1, which is $45,000 this year. There's 2 new positions, a 1 full-time school psych and a 1 full-time social worker. And then hard cap increase for healthcare went up 3.3%, and those are for the January to June 2021 months. And then we have the new ORS rates for next year, which is a total of almost 3% increase on our budget based on all the rates went up, but most of our population is the basic or MIP plans. So that's what's put in the budget for the ORS rates. And then this is the summary for scenario A. I kind of just summed up on the left-hand side of what it includes. But you can see the first column is our actual audit fund balance from 18-19. So every time I do a new budget, I always use that fund balance as my starting point because that's our true fund balance. My projections are just what I know at that time. So I just wanted to show what our actual fund balance was from our last audit, and then my most current approved budget, which was the amendment. And then I have the 3 columns for the 2021 school year with the deficit of 200 per pupil, and then the deficit of 650 per pupil. And then as you can see, flat would take us to 8.5%, and then the 200 per pupil deficit would take us to 6.7%. And then if we got a bit of 650 per pupil, we would be looking at 2.5%. I do also want to point out, because we did talk about enhancement today, that the enhancement dollars are not included in this budget for next school year. And then scenario B is everything is the same, except it just does not have any increases or steps. So we would basically be just on a freeze type situation. And then scenario B, the summary looks a little bit better. And this is all, very preliminary information because I don't know anything yet, but I just wanted to be 100% transparent in what I was wanting to show with all these scenarios. So same thing with the flat, would be at basically the same, 10.3. And then 200 deficit, we'd be at 8.6. And then if we had a $650 deficit, we'd be at 4.5, close to that 5% range.
Can you make that bigger, Tiffany? Is there a way to make that table full screen or?
The grid, the summary?
Yeah, the summary.
If
not, we got it. We got it in here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, yep. Yeah, never mind.
So that's all I have for now. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Yeah. Let's go around for questions and comments. Let's start with Mrs. Flipiak.
I have no comment.
Okay, Mr. Shearer.
I agree with Rick. We should, it's kind of like when you're working and you get overtime, you gotta just assume pretend like you never get any overtime. So I think we, like Tiffany said, not including enhancement millage, I think is a good idea. That would just be gravy. And then I'm trying, given what's going on, have we actually saved money? Or we have a lot? Do we have is our bank balance growing? We're not paying utilities. We're not paying a lot of things.
It's hard to say. I mean, we're so close to the end of the year. I mean, I know we've already been off for a couple of months, but I mean, the temperatures are down compared to what they would be if we were in the buildings. So we are saving on utilities. It's not going to be any kind of drastic amounts of money. I think maybe like the pool, if that's, I think that's still up and running. I mean, we have to keep it, chemical and stuff like that. But as far as like the thermostats and all that kind of stuff, those are down. But again, until we get to the year end process and closing out everything, we won't know for sure how much we're saving. But yes, we are saving.
Are there other categories of savings? Utilities, I get that. Are there other ones? I'm just curious.
I mean, we're still paying everybody. So there's no savings there. I mean, I can't really think of anything other than the utilities right now.
Buses, bus maintenance, gasoline.
Yeah, for the transportation.
Transportation maybe.
Right. I mean, just small things,
So it's not going to be a windfall. It's not going to be millions.
No, I don't think we're going to find $1 million.
Subs, but fixed costs for employees are what, Tiff? 89%, 90%.
Yeah, we're at the high 89%.
Can we get discounts from the insurance companies to say, hey, we're, for example, I'm not using my snowmobile in the winter. So I don't have one, but a jet ski. So I don't have to pay insurance. I mean, is it like that with, hey, our buses are parked. We don't have to drive them. So I want my my vehicle insurance reduced by 50%, or I want my insurance on the pool to be paused because nobody's swimming in the pool. Is there some money to be had there?
That's a good question. I've never, we haven't came across that before. I mean, like everybody says, we're living in unprecedented times. We've been dealing with insurance actually with the high school gym floor, as you all know. So, they're still out there. They're still doing things. But that's a great question. I mean, I can certainly track into that. I mean, we kind of have like a yearly rate. So I mean.
Yeah, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it might be worth we get a few thousand, maybe.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, thanks, Mr. Shearer. Mr. Klein.
Yeah, Pat, to build on that just a little bit, I know that MEMIC, I think we got a 20% kickback for low insurance usage. They just gave it back. I think some of the major insurance companies are doing that. So I don't know if that's happening in the school world at all as well. But I do know that they've, it's not huge, but they are at least addressing that. Tiffany, we've got two different things here going on here. I think we've got enhancement millage money 2 years out that's back on the ballot, correct? But we still have another 2 years coming in of real enhancement money that's coming in the next 2 years, correct?
Right. Yep. We're in year 4.
Okay, but you did not put that in the budget?
No.
And why did you not want that in there? It's real money, though, right? It's not money that's being taken away, correct?
So we record our enhancement money in our capital projects fund. So we haven't used our enhancement funds to support general fund in a few years now.
Does it count towards the end? But don't we use that money when we look at our fund balance? Doesn't that get equated into our fund balance amounts?
Not our general fund. If you look at our financial statements, if you look at the district-wide financial statements, it's added as a total fund balance, but just general fund itself, no, it's not in that fund balance.
So we report two different fund balances then?
No, it's the way the state has the financial reports. So there's a government-wide financial report, and then there's just the general fund statements. So it's just a reporting requirement for the state.
Okay, all right, thanks.
And just as to throw in there, just as a friendly reminder, the previous board members a few years back when enhancement millage first started, the board then voted at that time not to place them in the general budget.
Okay, Dr. Warren.
Just so I'm sure, but the general budget, like we were talking about, that is to like pay the staff and stuff like that, correct?
Yeah, general fund is our operating budget.
Thank you. That's where my question was coming from. No, I just pray to God that they don't cut us $650 per pupil, but that's just me praying.
Right.
I hope you're well connected.
Right.
On the 18th is the revenue estimating conference, which is kind of like the starting point of determining what's going to be in the school aid fund. It's kind of when they start talking about those things. So we're a little early on presenting, not necessarily presenting, but knowing anything. So as I get updates, I will be sure to include them in my update and update everybody as we get the information. But right now, this is just kind of targeting what we've been hearing.
And we're also early because we had to be, correct, Tiffany? You and I talked about that, right? Like we have to present this at a certain time. So
right,
we're not trying to,
Yeah, we're not trying to scare anybody. This is our normal routine of the proposed budget. This is right in line with what we did last year as far as timing. So yeah, nothing has changed there. We just don't know yet.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Moynihan.
I think the only thing I have to say is we have to take a close look at scenario A, because we did promise them with the last contract that they were getting, that was pretty much guaranteed. Wasn't sure how or why we did that, but it was pretty much guaranteed that we would, give them their steps and increases as time went on. Obviously, these are unprecedented times, but I think if we can still end up with a halfway decent fund balance, I mean, my vote would definitely be for scenario A, just because of the negotiations that we just finished.
So one good thing is we have more information by the time we have to vote on this. I don't know how fast we're going to move since there's so many moving parts right now. This is just informational for show, just so people kind of have an idea of what things look like. The one thing we did have, we did guarantee steps and all of that. We did have some contingencies in our contracts. If things happen that we're, it's out of our hands, we don't have control over, we can come back and talk about those things. So.
Okay, and Mrs. McDonald.
And she's going after the dog.
Must be going over the
Or
top.
vice versa.
Well, I guess, here, Mrs. McDonald, you're up.
Well, I guess I'm really happy that we have enough of a cushion to survive if, you know, in a worst case scenario for another year from the looks of things, right? I mean, it wouldn't leave us very healthy, but that's a relief. And I'd like to see us be able to take that out even further, you know, just preparing as best we can for whatever eventualities. I know a number of districts are already offering teacher buyouts, et cetera, anticipating whatever they're anticipating for the fall and beyond. Are we looking at those kinds of things too, or is that not in the cards at this time?
At this time, no, we've not, you know, we don't anticipate, the loss of some of our neighboring districts. And, so, we will continue to monitor that. And, Kathy in the main office has been doing a phenomenal job. We are actually working with our building principals. We had an admin meeting today, a Zoom meeting today, and we're starting to get information. Mr. Kelly was telling me, that actually Duffy counselor was reporting to him that, that she's got some parents that are expressing basically until this clears up or there's a vaccine available, some families will not be coming back to schools. And this is a reality that's been discussed, obviously, through the governor's office all the way down to our organizations as well as the teachers' organizations. And there's several different plans out there based on this. So at this time, we're monitoring the numbers. We're watching the number. Luckily, we've always done well with our school of choice population. We turn away far more than we bring in. And so at this time, where we've not discussed like a buyout scenario or any other scenarios until we learn more.
Well, that's true. And I was very pleased to see the high school's 12th in the state rating. That's excellent. But, again, these are unprecedented times and you're dealing with parents and students and, their health, could be their lives. So, we don't know how to really anticipate what's going to happen from there, unfortunately. So, like I said, I think we have to err on the side of caution as best we can to stay viable for as long as we possibly can.
Agreed.
So I guess I'm glad to see that, even in a worst case scenario of losing 650 per student, that, we can still survive. The other comment I'd like to make is, and maybe Gordon and Rick would remember this back when Debbie Lee was the finance person. When we were bargaining, she would always tell us that there was a ton of money to be saved every day that the district was closed. Never got a firm figure on what that ton was, but it was in the tens of thousands of dollars, which seems to kind of, how did that work? But it will be interesting, Tiffany, to see, when the bills start coming in for these times when, March on, what kind of money is being saved. I think that's important too. Thank you.
Thank you. The looking at our proposed or our amended budget through the end of the 1920 school year, there's still room left in that school year for that to be moving a little more based on what you're talking about, Ms. McDonald, potential cost savings from operations of operating our physical plant, the lighting, the heating, all of those things. And so, 16 years ago, I looked at this document, and when it would come before us, it was very much of, well, this is what's going to happen for the next calendar year and how we spend our money. And then fairly rapidly and certainly consistently over the last decade, I view this much more as kind of an operating set of principles, right? And are we generally committed to do these types of things? Because we've seen, our district per pupil funding be prorated after a school year starts in some cases in a couple of years, which then modifies and amends what we have to go back and do budget amendments with. So, as general operating amendments, I was happy to see what a couple of people pointed out. Scenario A, which means we honor what we have to honor, which we should honor. It provides that at the worst case scenario, 650 proration per student we're still sitting on $1 million. Now, granted, it's not great. That puts us down below 3%. But when we go through what we've gone through this year, to hang on and fight and claw for another year with $1 million in the bank is certainly acceptable, looking at the worst case proration possible. So, I was pleasantly surprised to see it. Scenario B for me is one that I just don't think, unless we get something that's really draconian outside of $650 per pupil, something $1,000 or something, we'd have to start talking about those types of remedies. But to be able to honor, a pretty important contract in the history of our district for the first time, we did a multi-year, 5-year contract on the good faith of, we were going to be honoring steps every year, which I know we all believe in. It's good to know that we could do that and still see $1 million in the bank in June 30, 2021. So again, operating principles, and we'll likely change some over time, but given what we're going through, I view this as a pretty darn good start here. So thank you for your work, Tiffany. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 11, superintendent's reports. Mr. Darga.
Thank you. School of Choice program update. We received a total of 287 School of Choice applications, 45 of those siblings who've already been students of Allen Park Public Schools. All 45 siblings have been notified of acceptance. 36 of them are kindergartners. A random lottery was held for the remaining applicants, and they are still being notified of their wait list number by grade level. You'll continue to monitor summer enrollments and students withdrawals prior to taking students off the wait list. Hats off to Ms. Elise Grant and Ms. Kathy Andrews for an outstanding job in streamlining the process and handling all the applications online. We have followed MDE guidelines, which will afford fairness to all families and provide our incoming families with a warm, helpful welcome with personal notifications. The Lapham Horger property update. We will have pleased to finalize the sale of 3 lots on the district Lapham property. The offer for the remaining 33 lots did not result in a sale of the property. The $37,920 from the sale of the 3 lots has been deposited in the district's capital improvement building and site and has been earmarked for athletic facility renovations. At this point in the near future, we will once again look for the remaining lots for development. Allen Park Pride during unprecedented times. We've got the food service department, as we all know, outstanding heroes behind the scenes. They've been approximately serving over 6,000 meals during their weekly distributions. Hats off to our technology department, Chromebook distribution, tech assistance, and virtual meetings. They've been doing an outstanding job. Again, that is a department of people servicing the entire district and all of our families. Maintenance department, again, kudos to all of our, to Pat and his team, all of our building maintenance people going in and sanitizing the buildings. We will be going in again as the buildings get used. We have an agreement that they will again go in, re-sanitize the entire building. The last time they sanitized, they actually taped each door shut with a piece of paper, and they let the teacher or staff member know actually who cleaned the room and on what date it was cleaned, so that when they entered their room, they had to break the tape, knowing that that was a very secure environment. ICC and professional staff, continuing learning plan, keeping our students engaged in their education. I think it's also very important, again, to kudos to those ICC members. We've been hosting ICC meetings and going to our staff. Again, we value that partnership, and we believe strongly that our teachers need to have a voice. Allen Park High School, Allen Park Community School, class of the 2020. We're so very proud of you. We'll continue to celebrate school community, a portrait of a hero. Obviously during the coronavirus pandemic has upended life for nearly everyone. Healthcare workers, first responders, grocery store staff, truck drivers, cooks, delivery service employees, postal workers, and other essential workers have had to face more risks than most. Please join me in thanking these extraordinary community members who are providing essential services during this unprecedented time. Also, great news with Point of Pride. According to the U.S. News report, it was mentioned earlier by Jeanette, Allen Park High School ranked 86th in Michigan top 100 high schools and 36th in the Detroit Metro ranking, which is outstanding. We led the way, obviously, in the Downriver area. Extremely proud of that, and I hope that you had an opportunity to actually see the chart and the differences of where our school is compared to some of our neighboring districts. I'd also like to thank Mrs. Tanya Duffy and the entire high school counseling team for organizing the decision day, which took place this past Friday. Over 100 of our seniors and their families took part in this celebration, and it was outstanding. The parents loved it. The students loved it. In all honesty, I think we may have started a new tradition. I think Tanya and the counselors really did some great work there. The way those kids had their cars decorated, the parade was awesome. Everybody practiced social distancing. Parents crying. It really was quite a really cool celebration.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Darga. If we could get Mr. Tefelsky back up for citizens' comments, if there are any.
There are 3. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
So the first one is Barb. I read names, correct?
Yes.
Okay. The first one is from Jennifer Jacobs, and she is saying, "I am grateful for your leadership during this challenging time. Appreciate all of our teachers, and a huge shout out to the lunch crew feeding so many students. Thank you for making it possible for us to watch and comment tonight." So thank you, Jennifer. The second one is from Joel Berkey, APEA Union President. Back in 2018, the AP School Board voted unanimously to continue to use bid pool as a way to address staffing in the district. At the same time, Mr. Darga also made a public statement in support of bid pool. It's in that context that I asked this question. According to a recent discussion with Mr. Darga, the bid pool procedures that were unanimously approved by the AP School Board in 2018 have been changed. I would like to know, number 1, when did this happen? 2, what exactly are the changes? And 3, were the aforementioned changes voted on and adopted by the AP School Board? And the third comment was from Thomas Jacobs. And that is, what is the current status of our new track and field?
Okay. Mr. Tefelsky, are any or all of those boxes checked, or are they all seeking a response in writing?
Joel and Thomas are, but Jennifer Jacobs just wanted to give the shout out to everybody. She is not requesting a written request.
And so, as typically is done, when that response goes out, we'll all receive a copy of that correspondence in a board pack to review Mr. Darga's response to those comments. So thank you, Dr. Tefelsky, for taking care of that piece of the agenda. Appreciate it. And we've reached the point where we get to go and have reports of officers. So let's
Hey, Gordon,
let's start with,
can I ask some
let's
questions
start with-
first? I had some questions on the school of choice.
On this, well, why don't you ask your questions during your reports of officer time?
Okay.
Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. Why don't we start off with
You're not going to mute me, are
but
you?
he has made a return. Mr. Moynihan, start off with reports of officers with you.
I did have one question. Obviously, I haven't been around for a while, but what is the reason we lost that sale of the property? I mean, I really didn't know anything about that until just recently. What happened?
Honestly, I think what happened, unfortunately, is when everything happened throughout the country, I think the gentleman may have, backed out. He and the city for quite a long time were in disagreement on how to move forward. And it was not working out. With the realtor several times about the purchasers' concerns. And I met with the city officials, and they told me they had concerns about the builder. He was not following their protocol in a timely fashion, was missing many, many different deadlines. And so I think when it first started, he just felt the property, he was tired of jumping through the hoops the city was asking him to jump through. And then when this hit, I think that was a straw that may have just stated, okay, I'm done with this.
Okay. That's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moynihan. Dr. Warren.
I just want to send a shout out one more time to everybody from everyone. Everybody's just done such a fantastic job. I have 3 kids in elementary school, and the things that their teachers have done is amazing. And my one kid, I had to send Mr. Darga a message because there's a teacher that is retiring that we know, and it broke my kid's heart. Like, he cried because he can't see him again. And that just speaks volumes to our educators, our team here, and how amazing that they are, that my kid is going to cry because he's seriously upset he can't see one of his teachers and he's nervous he's never going to see him again. So that was just absolutely amazing. And I really appreciate everything they've done as a parent also to help guide me. I teach college, not elementary school. I now know I never want to teach. So I appreciate it greatly. And then also having a senior myself, you guys know my brother is a senior and my goddaughter's a senior. This time sucks. I mean, there's nothing more to say besides that. But the things that we're doing, just like Mr. Darga, you said that you think you found some new things, right? Like that we're going to continue to do. We're doing flags for the seniors. And if you can't afford it, the school is going to do one for you. And to have the city lined up with all of our seniors so we can celebrate them, that should be done every year, I think, from now on, because it's going to be amazing. I can't wait. I'm going to cry, because it's personal to me this year, especially. So I want to thank everybody that was involved and everybody helping out to make sure that we are celebrating those things and it's not being lost, unfortunately, to what we've got going on right now. That's it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Dr. Warren. We'll go with Mr. Klein.
Yeah, really, I think it's important to say some big thank yous here, right, to the teachers, to the staff, to the administrators, to everybody putting all that time in. I had a chance to get back on my bike as a way of exercise, so I'm riding around the community a lot, and to go through and see the number of kids being served and families being served through the food program is really impressive. I reiterate what you say, Jen. The senior stuff is difficult right now, isn't it? It's certainly a bittersweet time for them as they move on to the next step. The senior decision day parade was awesome. It did feel like a celebration. It felt special. And to see them out there, kids taking pictures by their cars and the vehicles. So thanks to the people who made that happen. That was a really special moment. Kudos to the high school. That's awesome. I looked through that data and it's actually pretty impressive. That's good to see. And the last thing I would say is that I'm impressed by the level of which Allen Park Public Schools is fully open. Every once in a while I see a sign that says, we're closed, and I want to scream, we're not closed, right? We are fully open. We've got teachers who are working harder than they've ever worked in their entire lives and doing really good things as they try to reach out and stay connected to kids. And we've got staff members who are putting in extra time and putting their own safety at risk to try to feed and get technology into kids' hands. So just a reminder, we are not closed, man. We are open and we are doing wonderful things. So thanks to all of you out there.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Mrs. McDonald.
I echo the sentiments already shared, but I also would like to share that it's very cool going around the city, seeing the signs on the lawn, the teacher appreciation sign, the signs for the seniors, and of course our healthcare workers and frontline responders. It's amazing. So it's a lot of support in our little community. Decision Day has been happening at the high school for a few years now, usually at lunchtime. I love the component of parent involvement with this. I mean, it took this virus to drive it outside, but what a nice way to celebrate these decisions that our kids are making and the schools, their futures that they're looking forward to. So great job on that. Thanks to Tiffany for all of her hard work with the budget. It really helps to see the different scenarios laid out. Kind of lets us know, more specifically where we are with things. And I'd like to thank the parents for all the hard work they've been putting in. Every time I call somebody, it's like, I can't talk, I'm doing Zoom with my kids. Right. The students that are working hard at this, and as has been said before, they were cut off from, most contact from their teachers mid-March. And they weren't quite ready to be finished with that yet. and it's a loss for them. So kudos to the students and of course to the staff that's working so hard to maintain those contacts. Looks different, feels different, but they're still reaching out. So thank you to all parties.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Shearer.
I just had the question first was for the schools of choice, Mike. So 45 is the number, and then there's a waiting list after the 45, or is there 45 and then there's another group?
So what, we've got a certain amount of seats that are open based on enrollment. And what we did this year is we took the siblings of students that are already in the system. So there was 45 of those which we've received, but there was 287 total applicant.
How many seats were open?
Must have been about the 45. And again, out of those, 36 of those were the kindergartners. And remember, we only do the school of choices kindergarten through 8th grade.
Gotcha. Okay. And I'm sorry, I think Mrs. Pushman expressed some concern at the last meeting that the schools of choice loads up the kindergartners and the first grade teachers are getting overloaded. I don't know if that's been addressed.
Yeah, that's something that, that's been voiced in the past as well. And a couple of years back, we accepted a lot of students. And then it's one of those, unfortunately, it's one of those issues that, it's a timing. And so you try to bring students in because you've got open seats. What ends up happening sometimes is then all of a sudden you've got people moving into the district and enrolling, mid-August into your classes, which weren't there, which then pushes up your numbers. So, we do our very best to limit, and we work very closely with our principals and our student enrollment to try to cap that.
Do you provide extra resources to the first grade teachers then? Like she was asking for some help. I mean, or basically is it just she's got to suck it up?
Well, I mean, it all depends on what the student needs are also in the class. If she gets an aid for student needs, but the reality is we also run through the APA contract for students in each class as well.
Okay. Yeah, that was it for questions. So yeah, I just think really this whole thing's been very impressive. There's a saying that says every disaster is an opportunity, and really made some lemonade out of lemons here. And it's going to be interesting to see, there'll be, it's a horrible thing, but there'll be some neat things that come out of this. But it sure sucks getting there. And then so kudos to everybody. Food service, wow. So the other question I had was, COVID can only last, maybe a week, maybe two. So if nobody's been in a school, you shouldn't need to sanitize it. If the classroom's been empty, the COVID dies after a fixed amount of time. So I think could be wasted. I think we're wasting money and time, and maybe I'm out on a limb here, but I don't want to do anything stupid, but if a room's been empty for a month, it cannot possibly have virus in it.
So, and again, just to remind you, when I was talking about what we had done earlier, is those rooms were taped off, so that a person going into that area would have to break the tape.
Right.
So if staff members have not gone into certain areas of any building to still tape, we don't have to redo that. But according to the executive order, staff members are able to enter the building as long as they social distance. Right now we've got some of our teachers or even our secretaries are going in. Secretaries were in, I think it was even today at the middle school. They're starting their year-end type projects. Teachers are going in because it's assisting them with their online learning format through Zoom. So they may go in and get materials. So as they enter those buildings, we just all of our staff members on this air and the side of caution because we don't know exactly where those people were before they went in the building. So let's just clean it again. But not the will get cleaned, just the areas being used.
Oh, I see. Okay, thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
And then can a teacher say, I won't come to work? Like if there's no, like a parent could say, I can't send my child until there's a vaccine. Do teachers have an option like that?
Unfortunately, not necessarily. However, we do our very best to work with all of our staff members. So, the reality is we may have some staff members, who have a family member living with them that has an autoimmune disease efficiency. That staff member may have some real valid concerns. Even in the executive order, there is an opportunity for a person, almost like an FMLA, to take some time off due to that. And we would work with those staff members as needed. But the reality is our teaching staff, much like all of our essential workers, when it's time to go back to work, will be expecting teachers to follow that process.
Yep. Okay, and then since I'm on a roll here, I would just ask that we proactively look for some savings, like Tiffany mentioned, insurance. Do pools can you mothball a pool and stop heating it and stop pumping the water through it? Anything, are the thermostats all down to 55? All that stuff. But that's it.
I think Pat said that the thermostats were set at like 67 or 68, something like that.
Oh man, that's balmy. People are still in there working.
And the pools have been shut down. They've been shut down for quite a while. And actually, we've asked for input. I've gotten input from several different people because they've been in the buildings, which we appreciate. And as they've gone to buildings, they've noticed things, whether it's refrigerators are still running and no one's there. Those kinds of things. So, we all of our head maintenance. Every head maintenance person in the district goes into their building at least once a week. That's the minimum. And they do an entire building walkthrough, and they're supposed to be unplugging and giving us reports of things they notice that could be, dealt with, such as the pool being shut down. Again, fridges turned off. Again, even it's interesting, you forget about it, but all the lights are on timers. Well, if no one's there, we don't need to light the hallways. So, we can override those.
Oh my gosh.
Things of that nature as well.
Sure. Okay, and then I've got 2 seniors supposed to graduate this year, so I got one that's ecstatic and is loving it, and one that's not so happy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Scheer. I'll just sum it up by saying, these last 7-8 weeks have been filled with an awful lot of loss for an awful lot of people. People have lost their lives. People have lost employment. People have lost senior years. People have lost college graduations. People are losing wedding dates. There's an awful lot of loss and awful lot of things that could make people kind of retreat back into their homes and not fight through it to what we've been able to do here. But I'm going to focus on the positive, because the positive has been that we've seen a district rally around itself, around the central office, around its teaching staff, to just absolutely crush what's happened in the last 7 weeks for our students. I've personally seen teachers pulling up in driveways to hand off assignments or homework for kids. I've talked to staff throughout the district. I've talked to parents. Universally, they've praised the efforts of their primary points of contact, which are their teachers. But certainly we've all seen that extends to all of the support staff, all of the office administrators. And it really is a point of pride. And it's in the midst of that, we get the news about where our ranking currently is with respect to our high school. And that was a little bit of a cherry on top to see everybody working so hard to have something really positive come out of it. And so, it reminded me why in our district, our tagline really is an uncompromising commitment to excellence. And that's what I've seen these last couple of months. And I just want to thank everybody. I could go on and go on. We've thanked everybody. Specifically for tonight, I want to thank Mrs. Stradowski for putting all the effort and having this meeting organized with all of the documents ahead of time and the procedures. And then Adam Hollick and John Bertaniak with his efforts, their efforts in the tech side of things to get this operational. It looks like we've made it through for the Allen Park School Board's first virtual meeting. So thank you for being great participants tonight. Yep, thank you very much. And with that said, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Support.
Okay, take your pick there, Mrs. Zadowski. Okay, all those in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good
night.
night.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.